Welcome to the January 22nd, 2018 meeting of the Weare Board of Selectmen. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to wander around a bit on our agenda so we can save some things until one or more of our selectmen who are late are able to get here. One is hung up because of weather and the other is at another meeting. Chief, do you have anything under department heads that you would like to present tonight?
No, sir, but if you need me to kill some time, I could.
Pardon?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, we'd love to hear you talk. We have time. I'm sorry. Dick, do you have a department head item?
Committee.
Oh, committee, okay. Thank you. Cable committee. Sorry about that.
Good evening. I just wanted to give the board and the public a quick update on what the cable committee's been doing. I don't want to give any timelines because a lot of these things are in the process of being developed. We're currently working with students at John Stark and Hopkinton robotics team to develop a program to kind of documents what they're doing in their in the robotics. They're also, I believe they're traveling to Boston and Rhode Island, and we'll have one of our members going with them. It's kind of exciting. We hope that this may generate a little bit more activity out of the high school. We're working on our locally cable produced program, tentatively called, we haven't finalized this, Whereabouts. We've worked with the police department and the Historical Society to try and come up with the recurring segments, and hopefully that's something that we'll be seeing in the future at some point. So there'll be 2 recurring segments at least, and a feature program on something of interest in town. It will probably be a half-hour program. It'll start out as a half-hour program. We're also trying to develop processes and procedures to help the community. Anyone wishes to develop their own program. It's going to require the community to get more involved and with the equipment that's up there, and hopefully we're going to have some workshops coming up to help everyone understand how everything works up there. It's a little bit simpler, but still we need to have a better understanding so we can at least let other people know. So that's in the works. So we're probably going to come up with press passes, at least to identify us as members of the cable committee when we're out doing a video. So, minor little thing, but may be important. I'm in the process of developing a new policies and procedures manual. The last update was in 2005. And in 2005, I was probably going to a video store to get a video, something or other. A lot of references in here to videotapes. So it also appeared to be a bit cumbersome and structured, almost too structured, to be conducive for people to come in and use the equipment. So we want to try and we're going to look at that and maybe open it up a little bit. One thing I wanted to mention to the board, and this came up, I think it was last year, I believe, about storing the digital media that we have up there. As we know, it's not an official document, not an official record. But we had a piece of equipment up there that was very large, and it's equivalent of you having a dump truck, a 10-wheeler in your backyard that runs, but every week you go in and just dump a bunch of grass in there. And after 2 or 3 years, they decide to bring it down to the dump, or 5 years. And it doesn't start, so you're probably not going to replace the truck, and that's what happened to us. We had this huge piece of equipment that stored many gigabytes of data. They were never even close to filling, and it just broke. The second time it happened. The first time, we're lucky we have a person up there that's technically capable, that kind of jury-rigged it, put it back together again. Last time it just died, and we're not going to invest any money into it. So basically all the data is stored on a computer like you would have it at home. And there's no intent to retain that information. Once we get it up on YouTube, we may just eliminate it in a casual way. And we don't have a policy yet to eliminate all programming after a month or 2 months, and just use the space that's available to us on the computer to store it, and when that space is needed, we'll get rid of something. Obviously, YouTube is a big advantage, I think, to a lot of people. I hear from that like to look at the YouTube, and certainly you can access it wherever you want, whenever you want, and you can advance to a certain part of the program. There's one thing I wanted to bring to your attention, and Naomi's somewhat aware of it, and thanks to Naomi for helping us. But where there's a possibility that the deliberative session may not be broadcast live. We're still looking into it. We're going to be meeting with the people over there at the school. There's a new IT person over there. When they made the switch to fiber optics, it changed everything. And we're not able to tie into a connection as easily as we used to. And there is no connection to plug into in this auditorium or cafetorium over there. So they have a link, they have a connection for the library, but not for the cafeterium. So we don't know what, we have to go over there and meet with them and see if there's anything we can do to jury rig to try and broadcast it live. We will be recording the meeting for rebroadcast. We haven't rebroadcast in the past, but I think we will be this year. So, it's kind of a bummer, I guess, for some people. That's about it. That's all I have. So, any questions?
The question about tying in with the saving of digital recordings, and with they're being put on YouTube, is there anything in place to, at a certain period in time, remove them from YouTube, or are they just forever there?
I don't know if they'll be forever there. I can't imagine where all this data is stored. I mean, you would think at some point, I mean, there's so many videos. YouTube is incredible. But we haven't been, as far as I know, we haven't been asked to remove it. And I think right now there's probably, I think it's about a year's worth of programming that's on there. I think I can go back a year, Selectmen's meetings. I don't know if it's an annual thing where we just dropped the last year. I don't know if we're doing it. I'll have to find out. But there's at least a year's worth of programming on that on YouTube. So. And the way to access it, the best way to access it is just to type in YouTube search of Weare Channel 6, and then when you get there, there's an icon generally at the top of the videos that are there. If you click on that, it'll give you all the programming in order, the most recent first. So, and Channel 6 we do rebroadcast, but I think again, it's limited.
I think the clarity, it seems to me at least, especially the audio, seemed clearer on YouTube than it does when
as you pull the microphone within 6 inches of it. I think there's a note on the thing.
Yes, there is.
There's some people that are like just laid back, like they're
Nobody can hear me.
like you're in a recliner. So
Yeah.
some people have loud voices, some people don't. So it varies a little bit. And if somebody's playing with the microphone, you can hear that. So yeah, I think the quality that's fiber optics basically. That's the quality of this picture is being broadcast as well as is improved as a result. The audio on being broadcast that I get is you really have to crank up the audio at home, your TV at home. So.
On Channel 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Into.
But we're trying to stay within budget, and we have a limited budget. We're lucky we have a person up there that can repair the equipment. I don't believe there's been any repair calls made in the past 2 years or more.
Yeah, that's really amazing because it seems like we used to have quite a lot.
Yeah, I think, one of the benefits of technology is it gets simpler. I mean, that's why they invented the wheel, right, to make it easier. So as technology changes, I think it makes it a lot easier. It's more compact. It's generally cheaper. And it's easier to comprehend what's going on. So I think we probably have less equipment. There's some equipment up there that's probably 10 or 15 years old that's never been used. So I think one of the things we'll do in one of our workshops is to go through. Do you need to kill any more time?
Will your, we'll keep going. Will your programming be in the cable
green room.
rooms, a studio, or?
The robotics would be on site.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But whereabouts would probably be a combination, whatever we're going to eventually call it, would be a combination of two. I think the Historical Society piece, and I'm kind of going a little bit further because we haven't finalized things yet, but in envisioning the historical piece to be in a person to be talking about, it's going to be very similar to Chronicle, I think, that format. And we won't have Fritz there, but we'll have somebody else that's friendly. Some of that may be done at the studio, but we're also probably going to go out, if it's something that's still a site or something, we'll probably go out and superimpose the video over the person speaking. And the police piece will probably be done, I suspect it'll be done at the police department. We met with Lieutenant Hebert and Sergeant Brandon on Pleasure, and we agreed that we don't want to just do statistical stuff, how many arrests were made, things like that. We're pretty much going to, I think the first segment we were talking about doing a piece on the cars, the new cars, showing people what inside of the cars and a few other little things. So I think it's going to be more like that. There's a possibility, depending on timing, that it may be something that's relevant to something that's going on in town. Break-ins over in this section of town, make people aware of it. But if it's once a month, if we get it the day before, a week before we put it on, it might be relevant. It still might be anyway, just to let people know that there's a series of car break-ins or house break-ins in what area, and then that'll just roll into, these are some of the precautions you should take. I'm done.
Jan, you have any questions?
No,
Sounds good.
Thanks. Okay, if we could skip down to the minutes and take a look at those. I had nothing on page 1. Did either of you?
On page 1, under department head committee items,
Mm-hmm.
second from the bottom, that we are down to just a few minor. Take out A before just.
That it?
Yeah.
Page 2, I had a couple of things. In the bold area that passed 320, Vice Chairman Hitler stated that he voted no because of the payment for the DPW, and I added garage after that. And then at the end of the line, I also added the word garage. He feels a DPW garage should have been.
Mm-hmm.
So just to clarify that. And then in the first paragraph below that, second line up, where it says there were 2 other abatements, I just put a period because I didn't know what it meant by to be handed. So I crossed out the to be handed. There were 2 other abatements.
Need to be handled or something.
Handled, probably. Anything else on that page?
I added, on the last paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't know if it made sense with the exception of contracts, because it seemed like that's where we didn't do the 2017
Right.
approved amount. Board has gone over this year and created the default based on the 2017 approved amounts, with the exception of contracts.
John, do you agree on that addition?
Yeah.
Or maybe there's some other people that want to use.
I know what you mean. And I think that was pretty consistent with that.
Yeah.
If a contract went down, then we.
We put it down, and if it went up, we,
Went up, we put it down.
yes.
And that was the issue, is consistency. You just put except for contracts.
With the exception of contract.
Page 3, I had one whole comma that I added,
Yeah.
so, anybody else? Page 4 under Article 9, it was one place where it said the old back, it was backhoe.
Good thing I put back, not bat.
And then, this probably isn't even necessary, but under Article 10, third line down, I just switched the, was going to all go toward the contracting rather than go all toward the contracting. Probably doesn't make any difference, but.
On Article 9, I had, oh, wait a minute, let's go to Article 8. Third line down, after estimating and, the same thing will happen again. Overestimating and, the same thing will happen again.
Okay.
Article 9, second sentence down, seems, add an S to seems. The second paragraph,
Mhm.
second sentence. And then, second sentence up in Article 9 from the bottom.
Mhm.
Once the old one dies.
The old eyes, yeah, okay. Yeah, too bad that could apply to all of us otherwise.
Um, Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Mhm.
anything, John, for you on that?
Yeah, Article 9, the last sentence. Invest in a hammer with a plate to crush the cans. I believe it was to crush the
Trash.
demo and the metal.
Oh,
Comes from knowing what it's doing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Anything else, John?
Nope.
Next page, I just had a sentence I didn't understand. I underlined it and put a question mark. It was under public comment, it said, where Richard Butt was speaking, the second sentence is, he pointed out that when it was mentioned that there were reasons for not remembering back in 2005, and that didn't make any sense to me. But in 2015, and then the second time makes sense, but.
well, I think what he was getting at was in 2000, when it was brought up in 2005, there was comments and questions or comments made about not being on the board and not being here at that time in 2005. Because I honestly think Ricky talked about being at college, and he wasn't here at the time.
How about if I could,
Oh, I see.
not remembering events back in 2005, I just put that.
They didn't remember that the article was in there in 2005 because they weren't invested in.
There were reasons
The
for
board.
not remembering. I'm gonna add events from. Or articles from.
But the reasons is what, right? Isn't that, like, he was saying that he was in college and he wasn't around in
'Cause he wasn't in-
2005, yeah.
right. I don't think he was that involved in the town
There were
stuff.
reasons given for not remembering that back in 2005?
That's fine. That's okay, I'm good with that. Just the sentence without that doesn't hold together.
Right.
Okay,
Oh, nope. Let's see, second paragraph, starting with Lori Davis, at the end of the sentence,
mm-hmm,
contracts, I think, some interesting contracts, plural,
right,
right here.
okay.
Are you
Yeah,
following?
I had that
Lorraine?
too.
Okay.
I had that too, yes, on that. Didn't-
Okay.
Just didn't circle it.
In the next paragraph, Frank Campana, third line down, he asked what the gain is for 18%. In other words, what's the town gaining? I'm assuming. And the next paragraph,
Just a
first
second,
sentence. Oh,
I don't know
okay.
where you were on that.
Oh, this is instead of gain.
He asked what the,
Gain is for 18%. In other words, what is the
oh,
town
gain,
gaining?
gain, G-A-I-N, okay.
Right. Oh, so you have other ones? You can go ahead.
That's the one we just fixed.
Oh, okay. The next sentence, Richard Butt stated that he thinks the public hearings are useless if it is only giving the people a chance. So add if,
If.
giving, if, yeah, after useless.
Okay. Anything else on that page? John,
Yep.
pipe right in if you got something.
No,
Paragraph with Helene Kirk stated that it instead of is makes no sense.
Okay, I didn't have anything on the last page.
Under the first paragraph, second sentence down, towards the end, or 3/4 of the way, she was wondering instead of wonder.
Oh, you're in the, oh, up here. She was wondering, okay, yeah.
Okay. Did yours run off that? And the next one, second sentence. He feels confident that he is doing the best he can instead of his.
That it?
That's it.
John, anything else?
Nope.
Move to approve the minutes of January 15th as amended.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Look at that timing.
Jack's on his way, but he's stuck in a traffic accident by the high school.
It's amazing how bad it got so quickly.
I'm looking forward to going home.
It'll probably be, it's not that cold, so the salt will probably be out by then. Okay, we now open a public hearing. This is public hearing on the second of two public hearings for an employment contract for the position of town administrator. The first one was 1/15/18. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak? In that case, I will close the public hearing at 7:03. Let me just quickly do the manifest and then we'll get into it. Really.
You're gonna have an issue with that though, isn't he? There's not enough signatures.
Hmm?
Right? You have questions on the manifest?
Yeah, on the payable.
So wait on that.
Well, you can probably, I don't know how long
I
you
can,
can.
I can ask the chief right there and probably get my answers.
Okay. We have a question on the manifest?
Fire department. Two questions. Quantum EMS for over $1,600. Okay. And Huntress uniforms for over $1,400. No bids?
Do you need to see them? Do you want them?
Yeah, that would refresh my memory on quantum.
Quantum was something to do with child restraints or
Oh,
something.
yeah, yeah.
Who's quorum? What was the other one?
Huntress. is-
Huntress uniform.
Yeah, Huntress.
Is Huntress.
I think that, we'll start with what might be the easier one. Huntress is, has been our supplier for uniforms for some period of time. We, again, this is kind of similar to the helmet, when we talked about helmets back a while ago. So the individual pieces aren't overly expensive, but the quantity is what kind of pushes it up. It's, again, one of those situations where we've established a relationship with a vendor for, that supplies our work uniform garments, that also has our embroidery and other things associated with that. And that's why we went back to them and, with the PO on here. Oh, we won't have the PO because it's not complete, is it? And the PO number, I don't have the PO date. And I,
I don't think it's gonna be safe.
no. I think that the order date, refresh my memory, the effective date of the 3 written prices. Is there an effective date of that policy? Because I think this was ordered before that. Not to split hairs, but I think that this order goes back to into October.
Yeah, the purchasing policy says over $1,000, you have to have 3 bids. Always has.
Well, I have 3 verbal quotes. Is that
Yeah, for
different?
that, it has to be up to $5,000, I think, before you need.
Yeah, well, that's why we didn't go out to bid in the sense of the word bid. You know, we do shop this around, and look for the best price. I'm gonna say that this, for Huntress, that predates the written quote thing. But we have the date on the PO that we can dig out.
It's October, do you have it in front of you? Huntress one has October 17.
On the order date,
Well, I think the
Oh,
PO,
does it have an order date on here?
that one doesn't have the PO because it's not complete yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, but on the PO it does.
See, I think, I'm not questioning your concern, John, but that's one of the glitches that we've got to work out.
Yeah, the dates on the invoices are the delivery dates, but
Yeah. I
But
was
these are
thinking more in
things that-
terms of things
And,
like
and I'd have to refresh my
uniforms,
memory what the PO date says.
where you want consistency.
The Quantum EMS one, this is kind of a sole source provider for, their child restraints, but this, is a device, when we transport a child that should be in a child seat, we have to have that child, we have to conform to the state law. And this is a more effective device that allows us to, when we can't put the child in a sitting position and we have to secure them to the cot in a more of a supine, that's where these restraints come into play. And you're right, this does exceed the $1,000 thing, written price, but this is kind of that sole source vendor on this one.
So there's nobody else out there that does that, perhaps next time?
Nobody else that does that for this particular device.
Thank you.
And and like I said, I can dig the PO out for the Huntress one.
they're alphabetically, so
Yeah.
I tipped them one way and then the other. Nope, you gotta go, you probably gotta put one in, need some help.
We're going to manifest right now.
What's that?
We're going to manifest right now.
Yep. Did you have a question?
Yep. In that one, I'm not gonna sign it.
Okay. There's another question in that one, whatever's down there.
The payroll manifest. There's no slip in there for Sergeant Frisbee, and yet he got the biggest paycheck. So, and there's no on that spreadsheet of every officer. There's no hours for him. Just the holiday, and then there's nothing. So. Well, that was quick. We got 12 cars off the road on South Start on the hill.
You heard 7, but now they're
Now they're up to 12.
Eastman Hill.
No. They've got it closed from Maplewood to Duck Pond.
No, they gotta roll over.
Yeah.
There's a rollover.
Right.
Off again.
Yeah. Like another one, I'll be off again.
Okay, have we all set some to do a vote on this?
You want me to sign it first?
Or give me your word you will.
I will.
You haven't read it yet at all. You haven't read the manifest at all yet. You haven't read the manifest yet. We only discuss things.
John, which one do you have a question on? Which one was it?
The 2 fire
He
department
had
ones, was he
Quantum and
answered.
Huntress.
Okay.
Yep.
So you
And
get
I
to
had a
sign.
couple of questions and mine are answered too.
Okay.
You know, the uniforms is where they've always gone, and the quantum one is a sole source. Then the,
Right. As long as I can remember, we've been going to Huntress.
Are you okay if we go ahead with voting with 3 people, since you've got quite a few bit to go through there?
I just have one on the payroll manifest, that's it. And then this will be, I'll sign this one right now.
Okay.
So I'll vote, but right as of now, it's gonna be a no because of that.
Okay. I move to order the treasurer to sign payroll and accounts payable checks dated January 25th, 2018, as included in the following manifest: $52,589.71 for payroll, weekly and monthly. Accounts payable manifest of $26,360.65, and a Weare School District manifest of $450,000. So the total is $528,950.36. Is there seconds?
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to ask Ricky again, what was the problem with the payroll?
One of the sergeants has no recollection of his hours, and yet he took the highest paycheck home. There's no recollection of the hours, and there's no time sheet attached either. I'm sure it's just a.
Beth's ready to jump out of the chair.
I'm sure it's just a clerical error,
Okay, we
but
have it. Yeah.
She'll have to look in the box.
There's 2 sheets in there, right?
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
the person was
two
missing
sheets in
someone.
there, that's
And I
why,
called her back. and
why I
got
wanted to bring it up
spreadsheet.
again, so,
I went to the actual time sheets. Let's see one.
no, I did.
Okay, we'll just
Oh.
delay the vote. Motion's been made and seconded. We'll come back to that in a minute. We thought we would do tonight is walk through the wish chapter here as well.
He's coming, I think.
Coming like soon.
I don't know, I just asked him. Well, you wanna go through the warrant articles, right, or do you wanna go through the budget as well? Cause I don't know, after the last public hearing, you kinda just took everything and then said you were gonna look at it and
Right.
talk about it.
Take notes on it.
So do you wanna start with the budget part,
Why
or
don't we start with, when does the warrant have to be posted? So that-
29th by midnight?
Okay, so we pretty much should settle everything.
I'm hoping we can, yeah.
Why don't we go to administrator's report, and again, hopefully Jack would be along, so that all 5 of us will be here. So if there are
Yep.
any changes to be
I don't
made-
have a lot to offer,
What?
but like hold if you'd like it.
No.
Oh, no, I didn't.
There really isn't anything more to add to my report, other than I may or may not be gone at the end of the week. It depends on the conditions. And then I would like to have a non-public at the end of the evening, under A and C, for personnel.
Mike, I looked right at you earlier, and I didn't think when I was calling on department heads. Did you have anything specific you'd like to share as a department head? You sure you wouldn't like to talk for a few minutes?
Actually, if you need a few minutes, I've got just.
Anything that you can share. Actually, it's good anyways to update people on what's happening. I don't mean to be silly about it.
No, but
It is important.
no, but a little bit of good news, even if it isn't all that important, never hurts. Hopefully, you'll start seeing this pretty soon. But Trade magazine in the journalism field picked up the story of Weare in the World, our town newspaper, and so that was out last week, and today the Associated Press picked it up, and tomorrow we're going to have an interview with New Hampshire Public Radio. So that's going to be out and about, and our name hopefully will be bandied out. So good time to remind everyone, we always need information, especially this time of year. Tomorrow's edition is probably half of the news in it is about town elections, budgets, stuff like that. And I suspect that's what it's going to be right through the election. So any information you can send our way, would be happy to have.
Thank you, Mike. Well, why don't we take a look at the warrant items, and if there's a question or a change involved, we'll just, did you get anything back on text or?
No, I even tried his wife too.
Hmm?
I even tried his wife because they had a meeting at the high school.
Article 2 is the budget, so we're gonna put that aside for a moment and go to Article 3. We did get some feedback from the Finance Committee, and Naomi did, on at least a preliminary position they took on these different articles, knowing that. Anything to add on that? You don't have?
Oh, I'm sorry, is that for me? He is on the spreadsheet, but there's no timesheet attached.
Let's vote on that then, because it's not gonna change. If we have 3-1 no, or, so you do have his hours on the spreadsheet?
Yeah, the spreadsheet is inclusive of his hours, there's just no timesheet attached.
Hours worked and overtime, but not what days he was on or anything like that. It doesn't show it.
No, that doesn't have what days he did overtime or what days he did.
Right, or what
Yeah.
days he worked. It's all blank except for the holiday, just like everybody else.
Well, he had, his hours worked.
Right,
Yeah, he worked, oh, I get what you're saying.
but there's no
She didn't
there's
fill
no
out that
accountability of
section.
when he was there.
Alright.
Right.
Yes, that's-
Well, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the manifest. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I would like that to have a contingency that you
Yeah.
have it prior to releasing payroll.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
Okay. And, no,
I'll vote yes with that amendment.
sounds good. We're there. So, you got that?
Yeah.
So we can check off manifest.
Kinda like not having-
So we're looking at Article 3. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of...
No, actually, I did I asked Beth to make some copies. There's just ever slight changes, but it does have a date through the middle so that you can follow along.
Yeah, I'm 7 days old, I can't be doing that.
Thank you.
Now, a question that came up at our meeting last week was, I mentioned the week before that the Social Security increase was 2% and the, I forgot the name,
There was a government labor, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
anyways, the general government
Statistics.
increase for CPI increase was 2.2%. And we had 3 in our warrant article. And that was questioned, and we left that alone the last time. At this point, it appears that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Naomi, but preliminary vote of the Finance Committee was
3 was too high.
that they were not supporting that article.
There wasn't really, I mean, I tried to note it, but it seemed that if you could stay around the 2%, which is the same as Social Security, it would be more favorable. I mean, that's where 2, now I do have the number for 2% if you want it. So instead of the number that's printed here, if that's how you want to go. I don't know.
If we went that way,
Sure.
or anywhere's in that area below 3%,
Yo,
It's Jack.
no, we're at the meeting.
And you're on TV.
All right. Well, let us know when you're headed this way.
He's still stuck in traffic.
I know. Okay. Yeah, bye.
He's still in traffic.
He's stuck in the roadblock up there.
Oh, he knows back roads.
One would think.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, where was I? Lost my train of
Article 3.
He was gonna give
Right.
us the amount.
Yeah, okay, what I was gonna say is that,
Thank you.
I think if it's less than 3%, it should be simply across, like, social affiliate, it should be just across the board, cost of living, like the stats that we're talking about for Social Security or for the other index, and not merit-based, where you're talking about going below that amount. So I would suggest that if we were to change it, just be across the board cost of living. I don't know how people feel, that would be my thought. Or we leave it alone, let it go through as is. Any comments or questions?
Go ahead. Being on Social Security like a lot of other people, I think the 2%, if it's gonna be favorable vote, I think that's what we ought to do. Drop it down to the 2%.
What's the cost of living, do we know? Is it 2.5?
Well, it was, I didn't write down the website, but it was, Social Security was,
Right.
and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's what it was 2.2%.
2.2.
So I'm opening it up for suggestions.
I'm good with 2.
Mhm.
I'm good with 2.
Jan?
Because I think that they should get raises, so rather than having it lost.
The number for 2%, if you want to jot it down, all inclusive, would be 26,855.
Now, there's nothing in here that says anyways, one thing or another about the distribution of the raises in the warrant article.
No, it's just we've always talked about how we were going to.
You know,
It's always been discussed.
So there's no reason to change that. We can discuss it afterward, but I don't mind stating my intention would be just a straight, I would support just a straight cost of living if we're gonna go with 2%. So would somebody like to make a motion to amend that to the other amount?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a suggestion for Article 4, and that is that we remove it from the warrant. If you
Excuse me,
stop
Tom,
and
for
think-
1 second, your tax impact would be 3 cents versus 5 on Article 3.
The reason was the discussion at our public hearing last week kind of made sense to me. We've moved slowly on these projects over there, and if we need to spend $25,000 or $30,000 on fixing the lot, the money's really there, and we could still end up having, as much as $40,000 left in there. And it's not like we've been moving so quickly on these repairs that it's all gonna be gone. We've got the bell tower, I think we'd have better chance of that passing the voters if there were only one article on here that related to this. And I think we would be able to do what we wanted anyways, and then go in next year, say, we've accomplished this much, so we have to add to the fund, rather than saying we have $60,000 in hand and we need to add to the fund. So that's the thinking that I've been having during the course of the week. I don't know what others would
So you're thinking about just eliminating Article 4?
just eliminate that. If you figure we have, I believe that
62. All right.
yeah, 50, there's some
59.
encumbered, so we've got
It's 50, I think there's a new sheet.
$59,264 plus whatever is in the movable money that's left from the work.
23.
So, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Beth's looking some things up on that because I know what's been purchased over the years. It seems like it's still high.
The 23.
Yeah. But even if there's only 10 left in there, we still would have $70,000 for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are other people's thoughts on that?
I'm in agreement, I don't think that's going to get passed right now.
And I'm afraid it'll be confused and it will lose the other one.
Exactly.
John, what are your thoughts?
Kind of 50-50, because I can see your point of view, but if we have a major problem somewhere, like, say this roof goes. I don't know.
We just had it done a few years ago, it shouldn't.
Well, it shouldn't, but. Yeah, I can see where it would be somewhat confusing between the two articles. And obviously, I'd much rather have something definitely happen to the town hall.
I'm not in favor of totally removing the article. I'm good with amending it to get the town hall repairs out of it, but, I mean, we've got the roof on the safety complex, if you look at the back shingles, is not in good shape. That's just waiting to leak. You've got a boiler at Southware Fire Station was put in 1990, 1991. There's too many ticking time bombs out there to not put anything in that account. Like I said, I'm okay with removing the
But that's all that's in there. That 36,000 is, the only thing that's in there is that mathematical equation you had me do,
right,
and then you dropped it.
right. But
So-
all right,
So that's all that's in the article.
all right. I don't want to see nothing go in there. That's my own feeling. Yeah, we did drop the 10,000 out of it, right?
Yep.
Drop down to 25?
I'd feel safe with dropping to 15, but I want to see something put in there just
Yeah,
because of
I
those
forgot
those
about
two
that.
items.
Safety complex.
And then
roof,
we have the transfer station that we haven't looked at still.
Yeah.
That's coming along. So I'd hate not to put anything in there and think we're gonna have all these funds between the Mildred Hall that we think the number's a little inflated and what we have, that number that we have in that capital reserve could get chewed up real quick. So I'd hate to see nothing go in there. I'd like to see something go in there. And maybe not for the purpose of the town hall, but other things I've listed.
Well, if we put 15 in there, it would bring us up to $75,000 approximately, in there,
Okay.
with just on the raw figures of, let's say the 74,000.
Right.
And I know that 15,000 is not gonna buy a roof for the complex.
We'll
I get
certainly
that.
buy a boiler.
With Southware.
Right, but it could, but, you know, and then the other one is, but would it, if we had to do a patch job up there, it would come out of that.
Yep.
You know, I'd hate to see us
So you wanna make a motion to change that?
move the amend Article 4 to 15,000.
Wrong one. Waiting on two of these.
Second that amendment.
Okay, made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And so that would make that 2 cents rather than 4 cents. It'd actually be less than that, but a little less than 2 cents.
1.7 cents, but I always rounded it.
No,
So it's
about
2.
2 cents.
2 cents.
So the town raise and appropriate the sum of $89,142 for the purchase of 2 fully equipped police cruisers, etc.
Naomi, were there any other, finance committee recommendations or non-recommendations, or?
This one, there was a lot of support for 1, but not for 2. 1 was not happy with the funding mechanism coming out of the fund balance, but there were more leaning towards 1 and not 2.
Chief, I know you've gone over this many, many times, but
We talked today. We talked today.
The risk of losing a new car outweighs the fight for 2 cars. With that said, however, I can tell you that the condition of the 2 cars that we have in the fleet now that are still being used as line vehicles is interesting. And what I mean is that we just can't predict that one or the other is going to last longer than one or the other. So if you decide to change the article to 1 car to make this more attractive for the purposes of ensuring that we at least get 1, understand that I would probably not get rid of either of the 2 old cars, because if we get rid of 1 and the other one goes down, we're in trouble. We're going to be in real trouble. So that's just the bottom line. 2 cars, I get rid of 2 cars. 1 car, I don't get rid of any cars, simply because it would be imprudent to do that at this point.
the other thing that was brought up, I think it was for this board, is the repair line. And if we only get one car, I would not recommend lowering that any amount. Remember, last time around, we said, if this article passes, we will take such and such out of the repair line.
Yes.
But if with just one car, it probably shouldn't do that. Leave it alone, because it's already at 20,000.
Right, the 20,000 is reflective of 3 one-year-old cars, 2 brand-new cars, and 2 cars that are, effectively administrative cars that are not going to see the high ends of wear and tear like a patrol car does. So the $20,000 would have been able to sustain the changes in the fleet, but this has some consequence to it.
This is really department decision, I realize, so forgive me if it sounds like I'm overstepping, that's not my point, but where that, say you travel to court and things, you give consideration to using the older cars. Well, okay, you said, when we talked about the need for 5 frontline cars, one of the things you brought up is other than patrolling, people
I
have to go to
got you now.
court and so forth.
Yeah, and the answer is yes and no. Unfortunately, we're at that point now where we kind of parse out our court based on, our ability to move the few people we have around on the chessboard. So oftentimes, an officer will go to court and they'll be on duty. So I don't have them switch cars. If they need to get back here in a hurry, they got to come back with their duty equipment ready to go. In the instance that they're here on a day off for court, which we try to avoid, very frankly, because of the costs associated with overtime and things like that. But if they do, then they would take one of the other available cars.
Thanks. I thought you were gonna say we want them to get there.
We do, of course, but that's not why we do it that way.
Input from other board members?
Yeah, as the chief just alluded to, he goes down to one cruiser, he's not gonna replace it. And I think that's gonna hurt the validity of this article, by not replacing at least one cruiser. I think a lot of people are gonna look at that and say, no.
Rick, any input?
I have to share the same with John, the same feeling with John. I think that man, I understand the reasoning that you've said, but I think that the taxpayers will see that and go, we're adding to the fleet again, and not be happy for 2019 at all. With anything that comes, I mean, it's once bitten, twice shy.
You're very plainly, you have to go back into the budget and you have to increase line 660, because we cannot take the chance of that car, the lone car, being down. Because if we get rid of a car and lose another car, we're going to be in very bad shape. So we have to have the funds available to keep these 10-year-old cars on the road. And they can't come with wishful thinking. There has to be the monies there. So it's either got to be in this article in the form of 2 cars, or we have to add money to line 660 to make sure that car can be, the lone survivor, so to speak, can be retained for another year. Which it just, I mean, it's going to be 11 years old with 160,000 miles on it, next year. It's nuts.
Jan?
I guess my deepest concern is that we end up with none.
that, I agree with you, and that's why I started out the way I did. If going to one new car is the price we have to pay to have a new car, period, then that's a price I'm willing to pay. But you have to, the back side of that is that, you know, we get put in a position where now we're gonna be at substantial risk of not having enough police cars to police the community. So there has to be an added to line 660. If you're going to go this route, I can support that with the idea that, you know, we're going to get a new car because we got to have a new car. But the backside is that we also have to be able to maintain what's left, and the reduced amount of money. And this is just a reminder that the reduced amount of money in line 660 was predicated on the fleet having 5 cars that were only 2 years old within a 2-year window, all under warranty. If we retain another one, it's been out of warranty since forever and a day. And, you know, if we're going to keep it on the road, it's going to have some work.
What are you suggesting for that line?
If I remember right, it was $30,000 the year before. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't recall specifically.
I believe you originally had 25.
Yeah.
What, did you give the number of that line, Jim?
263.
You know, I'm not a mechanic. I can't even begin to guess. I think $25,000. You know, adding $5,000 for that car. It's probably enough. You know, I don't know where we squeeze it from someplace else, but
Actually, the last year's approved was 20,000, and we carried the same amount through. We spent almost 25, but the amount in the budget was 20,000 for last year.
Yeah.
But that was for most of the year without your new cars at all. So a lot of that was spent on old cars. The discussion goes like this, Jack, just to catch you up. We're talking about the article on cruisers and discussing the one cruiser or two. And the chief is saying that he'd rather have the one and not lose altogether.
right.
But then John brought up, and also he followed that up with, if he only had one, he would like to hold on to both of the old ones and not trade one of them in,
She's made us
so
copies.
that if one died altogether, he would have a second.
She made us cut changes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Phil.
No. And John was saying that he didn't think that was a good idea, that it would actually hurt our chances of passing it if we were to keep both of the old cars. So that's where we're at in this right now.
Right, and very frankly, this discussion is more about if than anything else. I'm not sure whether it be 7 or 9 that goes out the door in the event that we only bought one car. But, you know, if it survives the year, great. If it doesn't, we gotta have a way to fix it. And if we leave it at $20,000, if we leave line 660 at $20,000, we're rolling the dice. Because out of a budget that is already cut down to, I mean, we're taking chunks of bone out now. So it's if we have to do a major repair on that car in order to keep it on the road and have the fleet size that we need for our operations, then it's got to come from somewhere, and I don't know where that is. But that's up to you. We're gambling on if.
Now, Chief, are we saying that car 6 is no longer a frontline piece? If the 2 cars went through, that would no longer be a frontline piece.
That's right. Yeah, and then, well, hate to bring this conversation up, but we still have to have the animal control conversation. The idea would be that it would roll through an administrative assignment and then be moved on to animal control until it had met its useful life.
I think probably right now
That conversation,
complicates it.
yeah, that's overcomplicates it, I
Yeah.
think.
I'm looking at it like this, okay, it was 20,000 last year. So it remains in the default at 20,000. We proposed 20,000. If we ask for a new car and we increase the amount of repairs, even though I understand your logic, maybe not everybody else is gonna understand that logic. And,
Yeah, I get it.
you know, so,
I mean, like I said, I completely understand everything you said to us and told us. But I really think that keeping the two cars, if one passes, is gonna be, it's not gonna be good for the following years. It's just not gonna be good. That's my own feeling.
Well, as I opened my remarks, if we need to, I can support one to make sure that we get one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's you know, we're at that point where we're jammed up. We in the largest sense, because we're spending, you know, $250,000 over 10 years on cruiser maintenance is too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at some point here, we have to get into the pattern of a continuous replacement plan,
Mm-hmm.
so that we're not having these tremendous spikes in auto repairs. It's not good for the town.
Oh, they're old. We get it.
Yep. Okay.
Let me just ask a question, Chief. So I missed a part of this due to the traffic problem over here, but, so what the proposal is now is one for one. One new car, one of the old ones goes away.
That's what it sounds like. And no changes anywhere else, if I'm following the track of the conversation.
you have thoughts other than what's been said?
I think that, it might go down easier, I said before. I mean, right now, I guess it's come back from the finance committee, they're not gonna support either of it. So I mean, two cars period, so at least maybe we get a chance to get one. And we'll go to one car rotation for the time being and see how it works out. Hopefully, because the other two cars are low mileage still, our maintenance costs shouldn't climb much because they're gonna be under warranty in the new one. The only one that would be the other ones, and if they get that bad, then we'll have to look at it again. To get the cars on the road for personnel, I think probably the best way to go at this point.
This just pushes up a one-car replacement plan a year early, and it's kicking the can down the road a little bit on repairs and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, hopefully the repairs won't go anywhere.
I hope so.
We're gonna keep our fingers crossed, I understand that, because, you know, it's, but you're gonna have another new car, so you got three cars that will have 11,000 miles on them. The highest one's 13,000. They're still well within the warranty time frame, so I think that and those are being run all the time. The other ones are sitting, except for car 6 rather, the 2013 rather. That one gets to be used somewhat, but the other one's being driven back and forth, so it's not. I don't think it's as big a. We've got as big a headache as we had before. So I guess that's the best compromise right now.
All right.
Okay, I'm looking for somebody to put this in the form of a motion.
I'll make a motion to amend Article 5 down to $44,571 for the purchase of one fully equipped police cruiser These funds will be for a replacement cruiser. The $44,571 will be withdrawn from the unreserved fund balance.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Article 6 is the article for a additional full-time police officer. I don't mind saying I strongly support this from the beginning here. With everything we've heard about the need for the 24/7 coverage and the issues with the state police, not bad issues, but their ability to cover and what it might cost us, and the overtime costs if we did it with our own staff. So I personally would be in favor of leaving this as is. Any objections to that? You being now, we'll leave that. Have further comment on it?
A quick comment?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I want people to understand that this is in no way reflective of the excellence and quality of service that we've received from the state police. This is merely a change in the landscape. The legal scrutiny that we're all under and the requirements that we have to deal with. We have to do this at this point. It's either that or pay significant amount of money to the state police for services that previously they'd been able to offer us for nothing, and they simply can't do it any longer. Thanks.
Okay, Article 7. That has to do with adding equipment to the special revenue fund. I believe you went through this with Laura, and the wording we had was fine.
Yep.
Does anybody have any recommended changes?
Yeah,
to
it
this?
doesn't reflect what the name of that account is.
Right.
According to the warrant.
And you're gonna have a public hearing on this on February 26th, as if it's going to be a new fund. Laura said you have to have a second public hearing on that February 26th.
So that has to be
You're gonna have a public hearing to establish this fund.
to establish a new fund.
Well, that's her take on it.
I'm trying to, it's because I thought this was
It's like
to
starting-
amend the.
Your idea
Fine.
is to expand the definition.
Right, but to me, that's amending the fund, not replacing it.
I think you have to, I don't think you can amend it. I think that fund is set at that. You have
I
to
think-
basically put in a new fund, is the way I understand it. Like putting a whole new,
I think we need more clarification, because the way I understood, what was the fund that we changed last year?
Same one.
No.
legacy.
No, we changed it from the revolving fund to this, right? No.
Well, what we found was if you were to amend it, it took 2/3. Fine, you only need majority. Now, I'm not saying we should do one or the other, but that was the clarification. So if we're gonna establish a new fund with a new name.
Well, no, there was a conversation because she explained it to me. As I explained to you before, I sent her back because Dick had commented about adding the word replacement. Even though I gave her the original wording, she said that it limits the authority by only replacing what you have and not getting any new equipment. I would not recommend that language change. Don't forget, you have to have a public hearing on this article. Let me know if you need the details. I question why we had to have a public hearing on this, because it's an existing one. All we're doing is expanding the use. And she said it's just like if you make a new one. You have to have a hearing at least 15 days, but not more than 30 days before the question is to be voted on at the second session. Notice of the hearing will be posted in at least 2 public places and published in the newspaper of general circulation at least 7 days before the hearing.
What is the name of this fund as it now exists? On our sheet, it just has an abbreviated, it says, where is it? Fire and rescue vehicle.
Special revenue fund.
was called Fire Department Vehicle Replacement Fund.
Special revenue.
This is special revenue fund.
It just
Oh, that's
says,
right, I'm looking at capital reserve funds.
this one just says such,
There's an old one with a similar.
Yeah, that's a capital.
yeah, this one we established under 3195C to restrict the revenues for ambulance charges to expenditures for the purpose of new vehicle replacement. Such revenues and expenditures shall be accounted for in a special revenue fund be known as the Weare Fire Department Vehicle Replacement Fund, separate from the general fund.
And that would have been amended when the per diems went into effect. That particular account. That would have been the first time.
You didn't amend it, you
2005.
amended the stream of money.
We just diverted.
You just diverted the money.
Change the name of
You
the
didn't change the
Okay.
name of the
Because
fund.
we kept that fund, but it just, there was less money going.
It says we want to change the name of the fire department equipment and vehicle special revenue fund.
Which is probably why she's taking, you have to treat it like a new one.
They have to, yeah, that's right, no, I understand, they have to treat it like a new one. So, basically, it's like you close that one out, this one gets enacted, and then you put the money, in, so whatever's in there, it goes into that, streams into that. The way it's hooked up.
If, Rick, and I guess this will apply to anybody questioning this, if it's a special revenue fund, it always has to go before the voters for approval.
Right.
So what would be the reason for restricting it?
Well, I don't want to restrict it, I just want to, I want it to reflect what that Article 41 in the 99 town meeting was. And it was not called the Fire Department Vehicle Special Revenue Fund.
That's right.
And
Right.
according to that, it was the Fire Department Vehicle Replacement Fund. I have no problem with changing the intended use. I support the intent of the article, but I want it to be written correctly.
Right.
If you're gonna quote Article 49 from the 99 town meeting,
41.
or Article 41 from the 99 town meeting, it needs to be reflective correctly.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna quote it with that,
Just one.
and it says amend right there, it doesn't say create new, it says amend.
So we would be amending it to change the name of the fund as well, then?
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it shall amend warrant Article 41 of the 99, it needs to be reflective of what was written in that meeting.
Okay, now I follow.
Make that in the form of a motion.
So moved.
So we use the name of the
The account,
1999 fund, but then move on from there
Right.
with the establishment of a new name for it.
that is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
That is
Makes
correct.
sense, makes a lot of sense. Doesn't change what we're aiming for, and that is to
No.
open it up to equipment and open it up to a new piece of equipment as well.
I just want it to be quoted correctly,
Yeah.
and it is to amend, it's not to create, I mean, it is to create a new one, but it's still amending that article, or that particular count.
You follow that? Yeah.
Yeah, because you technically have to write Weare Fire Department Vehicle Replacement Special Revenue Fund.
Yes, and that's fine.
Need a vote on our motion.
So just to
Did we have a
clarify,
second?
the
Did you
first
second that?
sentence, you'll add the word replacement,
Yeah,
The
the
last
Ware
sentence.
Fire Department Vehicle Replacement Special Revenue Fund.
and then the last one stays as fire department equipment and vehicle.
Yes.
Maybe we should put Ware on there so that, you know,
It says the
none of
town
town doesn't try
meeting.
and grab a hold of it.
Any other discussion? All in favor of making that change?
Aye.
Opposed? The next one is the truck for the highway department. Any proposed changes to that?
And that's written the same as it was last year, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
There being none, and we'll check that off. Did you have?
Is it written the same as last?
I'm looking for it right now. The amount's changed, but that's fine. Yes, it is the same.
next one is the backhoe article. Any questions on that? Any changes to it? We're good?
I just want to make a statement of that in that we should, in the mailer, we should probably state that the warranty start date is from our purchase date, not from when we started using it. And obviously the amount that they're applying for the rental versus, but obviously that's the mailer, not the article.
Road reconstruction article. Any changes to that? And you passed these all by Laura, right?
No, they haven't finalized yet.
Yep, it's okay.
I bounced some of them back and forth, but
Article 11, which is the part-time employee for the highway department. Any questions or comments
Yes.
on that?
Benji, is this only a winter position, or was this intended if we had a light winter, which listening to behind me, we're not going to, if we had a light winter, that we would use the person for filling in vacations, etc.
This is intended for the winter. However, if I ever get back into the corner I did this summer, I would have used him for flagging, at least. I hope I don't. I mean, I was down 2 guys the entire summer, so I hope that doesn't happen again. Well, I don't want, that's why I put it in for a certain number of hours entire year in case that happens. I didn't, my road job, I really didn't have significant flaggers. We risked, not having enough so I could have enough trucks to haul dirt because I was 2 guys down. So
Right.
in an instance like that, I would.
I just want to make sure
You
that,
don't, budgeted 10 hours a week, so, how snowstorms 20, 24, it goes 3 weeks worth of payroll, so by the time you get to the summertime, I don't think it'll be too many weeks left, so.
right, no, I just want to make sure that, again, 100% behind the intent.
Right.
I just want to make
Yep.
sure this is worded correctly to
Yep.
serve the intent that you know.
Yeah.
And maybe we ought to change it from part-time driver to make it actually say part-time truck driver, which is what we hire. When we hire somebody, we call them a truck driver at the rate of.
Right.
So maybe we ought to change that to part-time truck driver. That way there it encompasses that entire position of what a truck driver in this town does, which is whatever
Yeah.
you have them do. You understand, Tom?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And that would line up with all our other articles that we've had to pass on, not just articles, but anytime we talked about hiring somebody, we use the term truck driver.
Yeah.
And it distinguishes it from
I
equipment.
mean, the only thing I hope and anticipate I will get someone to plow in the winter with a CDL, but some reason I couldn't. There's lots of people who drive little trucks without it. I know I was in Deere and I had 2 or 3 that were on call, so if someone was sick, I get the other one. They didn't. One guy didn't have a CDL, I guess they'll drive my pickup. As long as that would lock me to someone that had a CDL. The intent would be to find someone that had a CDL,
Right.
Yeah.
which I don't think would be a problem. It's amazing the people you can get for part-time work versus
yeah.
full-time.
I'll move to amend Article 11 to add the word truck between time and driver.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Article 12. That's just exactly like last year's, I believe.
it is now.
What do you mean it is now?
Well, it wasn't on last week's. Oh, you asked me to fix it from last. The
Oh, yeah,
name of the fund was
it
wrong and
named-
everything.
It named the bridges, that's right.
Yeah, I lost my head on that one.
Restrict us to that.
So it was Article 13 last year.
Mhm. Okay, show the town, well, Article 13 is the Parks and Rec article for pavilions at the Fulton Memorial Park. Any changes on that? Pretty straightforward. Article 14. That's the bell tower. We wouldn't before you got here, we made a change on the other article where.
Saw that.
Okay, you're all set on that.
Make sure, yeah.
And, so, we okay with this as it stands now? Article 15 is the article for the $25,000 toward the planning and engineering study for the library.
Should that, and, hold on, before you get too carried away. I think there should be, oh, never mind. Gotta read, I'm good.
Okay. So we're okay with that as it stands?
Are you trying to say that the explanation should be for the amount of years? Is that what you were trying to do?
Well, that too, no, I did, for some reason I spaced seeing the first
Yeah,
line.
but putting it on the amount of years is, because if you put it on next year and 1 year it doesn't pass, then it's not.
Right, no, what I was just gonna say, it should be in, like, the explanation.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, you don't have to.
That was what.
You have a lot in
You don't
there.
have to restrict it with
I just checked.
years, you can just say 4 installments.
I think you can describe what you're gonna do in the.
Right.
Okay,
And you saw that the library trustees were changed to be the ones to expend it and not the board. Okay, just let you know that.
So with that said, should we as a board of selectmen recommend or put a recommendation on it? If we're really not gonna be the agents to expend, should we cast a recommendation on that particular article? Just a question.
I think it's the right thing to do, but
yeah, I do too.
No, I don't disagree, I just raised the question.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Anyone else? Article 17,
16?
16, I mean, I asked Naomi to have the word fences added there, because it's strictly stone walls, and they do fences as well for cemeteries, and in fact, that's part of one of the projects that they want to work on this year. So there is a change in that. Anything else? 16, that's there every year, the same wording for cypre funds. 18, fireworks.
They took off the word non-transferable.
Right. And their conservation article for the licensed forester, which is a yearly article for the money coming out of the forest fund, town forest account. And then the Article 20 relates to taking money out of the town forest account and set it aside if something becomes available for conservation land. Again, basically the same as we've had in prior years. Pine Hill article, we got the wording all down on this now, or is that still a work in progress?
That's the wording that's gonna use. You may have one more article, if I don't get the petition back withdrawing everybody's name, you're gonna have to put it on as he's put it forth to us. So, I mean, that's gonna confuse everybody all the heck.
So will we have that as well as this?
No. Oh, it'd have two?
Well, I mean, he knows I need it back by the 29th.
So we would have two, we'd have.
I have to
this
ask
article?
Laura that question because
The intent's the same.
the intent's the same. So I would say his would go on and not ours, which is not gonna do what he wants, but
Maybe we could cover that, if we ended up with that, we could cover it in the mailer.
I mean, the petition was submitted. The names were checked off by the town clerk. And because there was no guidance sought first, I mean, that's where it came from.
So this is as
This is as we propose it, but
Okay.
there is an article that was submitted by petition.
Okay, well,
So it's either one or the other, it's my understanding, but next week you'll know which one goes on there.
Um,
22, the suggestion was to take your recommendation off completely.
yes.
It'd just be
Thank you.
confusing. Laura recommended that, doesn't have to have a recommendation.
Article 23, it's the change that 1994 limit on the property that the town can sell if it's taken by tax deed. Any questions on that? 24 concerns televising finance committee meetings. 25 was a new article that was added.
That hasn't been run by it, but if you look at it, it's worded the same way the Cypre one is. I can't remember if that's the correct name or not.
Fine for the fund.
Yeah,
The correct funding name.
I just gotta double check what they set the fund name as.
Right.
And 26 is an afterthought you might have. So, except for a few wording things that have to be checked out, are we good with this? Not to come back to it ever?
No, next week I'll bring you a clean copy and you can look at it.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'll point out all the changes and then you can sign it and then I can run it over to the school.
So we can just throw it away now. This one.
That's right, 29th is Monday.
29th is Monday.
That's it.
We really don't want to have big discussions on this at the deadline.
Now, in that warrant though contains Article number 2. Are you gonna discuss Article number 2 any further? Which is the budget,
Oh,
since the public hearing?
right.
Okay.
We have it here. I don't know. Is there? See if I had any questions on this here.
Will we start at page 1 again?
Sure, you have something on page 1?
I'm just teasing you.
I don't want to go through it line by
No,
line.
that's kind of what I was after. I was kind of being that way.
I'm on page 5 right now.
Ooh.
I have okay, let's go back to 3 then.
Okay. The telephone for the town clerk where the fax machine isn't there any longer,
Mhm.
can we reduce that in the default budget to 800, or are we gonna keep it? I mean, if the machine isn't even in the building.
If we follow
Law.
the law, we leave it at 13. And if we do that, then it takes us back through every other line in the budget where we reduced it by any amount. And
What that is, Jan, too, is
Consensus.
that fax got removed and now they're using my fax machine, so.
Oh, I understand.
Charity begins at home.
is that working out, or should we have a fax machine down there?
We don't fax enough that. We have scanners.
Yeah, and I think that, years ago, the election things were always being faxed out, but now it's all done by,
Yeah, because the copies that we have now is scanners.
yeah, and computers,
Mhm.
so. Or they're emailing.
I think that was one of several. Talking about what Tom said, that was one that was pointed out to us. There are
Yeah.
several if you do that.
Well, I think Dick gave a whole list of items that. So you,
See, we went through this a couple of years ago. And we brought it to our attorney, and she said, you guys, basically said, you guys have been shooting yourself in the foot, because what you're doing is you're losing every year and bringing your default budget down to a point where in the future, you're not gonna be able to live on your default budget. Those aren't her words, but that's the concept that she had, that she put across to us, and that's why that we maintained for that 1 year period the amount from the previous year. Now, if our budget passes, we have $800 in it, then next year, the default will only say $800. So there is that 1 year that you preserve what you have, but then the following year, you go to the amount that was approved the previous year, whether that's, so that's what would happen with this.
But I think that line's safe to make the move, though. I mean, you've removed something. You've removed something from the office. It's not a fluctuating event.
You know how much it's gonna cost. It was
Next
an
year?
estimated cost, yeah, for this year to cover this new budget. So I mean, it was
Right.
1,300,
Well,
800, so
the
if they
expense
didn't
was
have-
the expense for 17 was $694, so it's still $100 more than.
What were you saying? I didn't understand what you meant by what you said, Jack.
I'm saying, you know, okay, reduced it from 1,300 to 800. Yeah, they used expenses today. It was only 694. You reduced it to 800. Are you going to shoot yourself in the foot not knowing what it'll be changed? Maybe increased this year. I mean, basically, what you did is you increased it from what you spent. Well, less than $200.
So would you feel safe at 900 instead?
No, I'm saying I'd leave it right at 800. I wouldn't reduce it. I'd
You leave it
right
at
where-
1,300 then?
No, I'd leave it at 800 for the proposed, and just leave the 1,300 as the default. I think you're gonna fall into the point as Thompson, you're gonna go back and revisit all of them and change them again.
And they're all going to go down
Yeah.
in next year's default budget if the budget passes.
Yeah.
Right.
So we okay on that?
Are we leaving it or moving it? Sorry.
I had a question on,
Are we leaving it or moving it, Tom?
I think we're leaving it, is that correct?
Is that the consensus?
Leaving it the way it is.
Yeah, we'll leave it.
Okay.
On page 5, the highway garage heat, maybe Benji, if you, it's 2,000 in default and 1,000 in the proposed. I assume that was carried over. I don't know why it's only 1,000 in the proposed. If it was 2,000 last year. I'm not
I'm
proposing to
rattling the
change
cage, I'm not, I think that heat line was for my old propane bill, cause half of my building was propane.
Yeah, that was the lunchroom and the.
You said that.
We don't know.
Sorry,
I did today.
Just what the new system.
I wasn't gonna remind you.
Yeah, because you had to use propane to heat the office.
That's right.
Yes, sorry.
And lunchroom, yeah.
That showed
Benji,
them.
on the utilities.
Yeah.
Do you recall last year what the electric was during the winter months?
No, I didn't bring any paperwork.
Okay.
Would have been different because we plugged the trucks in last
I
year.
had 2 electric bills every month.
You had 2 electric bills.
One for the shop, one for the truck bays, which we don't use truck bays at all anymore.
Well, the electric for this month, for December actually,
Mm-hmm.
was 808.
We plugged them in December
Okay.
for a
Down
little
here.
while. No,
Is it
down,
ten?
well, both places, but down the other place.
Okay.
Because you're still paying the light bill in the temporary garage too.
And I think this particular, the building itself as a whole
to operate that building is gonna be a yo-yo between the old one, the new one, and the temporary building. We're gonna be all over the map. So I'd really hate to make adjustments based on 1 month. You know, the December electric bill, I'd hate to make adjustments based on that 1 month.
Yeah, I have no idea what we get until
right.
we get.
I'm
probably
sure,
through this
I'm sure that
winter.
there'll be blanket the whole policy of less, but how much less, I think it's gonna be near impossible to figure out.
Well, I guess my concern is, was there any electricity that we had, like, well, heat or whatever in there that, with the doors open? Because of the building not being completed, was there any extra that was involved here?
That was all on the contract.
That's on the contract.
Because they were using those blow-in heaters.
They were using a temporary service that they set up, temporary electric.
Did they?
Public service wasn't hooked up until when, the end of November?
Well, this is a December bill.
To the bill.
Yeah, but that December
Right.
bill, so I think they were still,
They were still plugging in.
Electricity, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
They were
still,
still plugging in
only some of that's on the contract.
They were still plugging into their own,
to the trucks.
to the truck? No. The heater,
But that's,
the
but
blowing
that's
the
also, you're
heaters.
looking at the bill for all the garages, not just the new one. So to break it down, you have to look at the individual bill for that garage.
Okay, well, did we get were we receiving any extra charges?
No,
Because
I
of the
don't
contract.
pay any
Because of
extra
the
to the company, no.
Okay, well, you obviously saw me down there today.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't come in because I didn't really wanna face the whole crew. I mean, the last time the DPW clerk of the works was in, the building was gonna be finished a week later. It's now, the way how are we now?
We've been in there for a while, like I said last 2 times I was there.
You've
We've been in the
there? 'Cause
building.
I thought that, well, the trucks have still been down here.
Just the ones that getting, we have an air compressor issue that's my problem right at the moment, that my mechanics is still working out of this one. Working with my parts dealer has nothing to do with the company.
Okay.
But we've been parking our trucks in, I don't know, whenever we said we were parking them in, I lose track of time now. I think the heat's been on 5-6 weeks now, right? Whenever we told you it was on, heat's been on. We've been parking trucks inside. I think we parked them in the night they turned the boiler on, as a matter of fact.
I went through it Saturday morning, Bruce was going down. I wanted to walk through it with him. And, most of the trucks were parked inside.
I've had them all in,
And,
every night.
it was nice and warm in there for the heat.
Yeah. The only ones that don't are the ones that are incapacitated that Tom's gonna possibly work on. Like this weekend, he went and worked on, because we've been
I have a question.
2-3 of them on a normal basis. We're
related
gonna-
to that, Benji, which isn't a budget question, but while you're there.
Right.
Sure.
You're installing the lift,
Yes,
and it requires drilling in and bolting it to the floor.
Yeah.
Do you have some kind of a mapping of where the pipes for the heat run, so you don't accidentally drill through one?
no,
That's not very straightforward.
when we very first started that, we were going to, and we didn't, in case something changed, and little things have changed, so thank God we didn't, because then we'd have 2 little cold spots in the floor, so. I decided to put it in a little bit different spot, looking at the layout, and, so just try not to hit them.
Is there any way to have a contractor do it? Another contractor come in and, actually installs lifts? Maybe they have some kind
Well, no, because the thing's gonna, still got, so they're supposed to be down a certain depth.
of... Mm-hmm. Oh,
And then there's you should be good depth, and then I'm gonna stay up a little bit more.
Right.
So, and that will be safe by the regulations or the suggestions that the manual on the lift says. And then I went and got the most expensive epoxy I could find at Home Depot, and I'm gonna put that in the anchor holes too, just to make sure. They got 10 bolts per, 10 3/4 inch bolts per leg, so it would tip over if I wanted to. But The pipes are supposed to be down 6 inches. They said you can drill 4.5. You can drill 3.5 and be safe, so. Unless a pipe got pulled when they're pulling the mesh or concrete, shouldn't be nothing up 3.5 inches of concrete. If there is, then chisel the floor out, fix it. One thing about waiting to do it to now is, which that's my job to do anyhow, is it's got water in it, so at least we know if we hit it. Or before, when it was empty, you wouldn't know till you filled the hole full of epoxy.
True.
It happens all the time in them garages they do, but it's not gonna happen in mine. We're gonna be good, safe.
I don't know, with the air compressor, any luck with that?
No, I ain't had time to call today.
Still haven't heard back from them.
They're coming
Yeah.
two Fridays ago.
Okay.
Anything else?
I just was concerned that we might have been paying part of their road.
Careful with that. Okay, again, we don't want to start to go through this all again. Is there anything on, I was on page, what, 5, 6, and putting on page 6 that you want to revisit?
Do we, back 6. Do we want to revisit line 226?
Yeah, actually, I had a question mark beside that, only that maybe you can refresh my mind, Chief. That's the part-time secretary. Why did we
To hold.
just put a hold in there and not put the amount for a half year? I'm sure you told us before, but I don't.
Yeah, this is one of those, it's twofold. The reason there's any math in there at all is because it's a collective bargaining agreement position. And the reason we reduced it was, frankly, it was helpful to the budget, and we're getting by at the moment.
Okay. Any other questions on that?
No. I mean, I know why we dropped it at 20. I'm just looking at that default number, that's all.
Right, but
It's a very high number in comparative to the proposed number. It's not like 13 and 800, it's thousands.
I think that was because the intent in last year's proposed was to hire a part-time person.
Correct.
Right.
So in the proposed budget, we had anticipated hiring a part-time person.
That's right.
Okay.
So, things have changed, and the proposal this year is to
Just asking a question.
$20. Yep. No, did I sound like I
Well,
was
that does
biting
mean
it
that
off?
next year our default number would be $20. Okay.
That's what you do.
Anything else on that page? Page 7? Eight.
Can we go back to 7?
We should do that.
Um, 297. Part-time EMT fire. So as I understand it, if the default budget goes through, Chief, we lose the extended hours of coverage. There's gonna be a $10,000 shortfall.
Right, well, in the proposed budget, and this would be my comment, my caution to not cherry pick out of the proposed and put it in the default, is that what we found in the year line 297 is that our experience through wage increases and having people, more skilled people working, is that our hourly cost went up. And so in order to accommodate that, we moved, I think it's 11,000 roughly, out of the call force wages, which is the line above, into the part-time EMT firefighter wage line.
Okay.
To cover that expense. So my caution is if we were to go and reduce, well, your proposed number's smaller, so we should put it into default because it's smaller. But
No,
but my 2 cents on that discussion is that this is a good example of we're moving some money around in the proposed budget to meet our needs, and the net effect is 0 on our line. But if we're only looking to save money in the default, we would lose 2 times.
So you're using just 296, 297, which is call force and EMT per diem. The proposed and the default are exactly the same.
The aggregate of those 2 lines is the same, we just moved some
Right, okay.
to cover that expense.
I just want to make sure that vital coverage is not going away.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Because all of it is included in the EMT firefighter line.
Thank you.
That's 151 is the account.
Right,
297.
right, thank you.
Page 8 and 9. Ten, 11. This is personnel, so I don't know if we can have a discussion of the welfare, salary, and public session. Probably not. But, might want to come back to that when we're in non-public. Anything else on the budget worksheet? So, this is pretty much locked in place. We just look at it next week and say, we're good to go on this unless there's one person comes in and want to look at this one line again, but basically we're good to go on this. And on the warrant, except for the few things that we have, so. Am I right in moving on, or anybody else? Anything else on the other? Public comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, you missed
Yeah,
it.
we did.
Missed that quick. What's that? To do what?
Okay,
minutes.
yeah, it was
Oh, they do.
sitting on the side of the
They do.
road. Nice.
We did. Nobody said a word. Open at 7:02, close at
Frank
7:03.
Campana. I want to start out by saying, and I'm glad the road agent's here, I owe him a little bit of an apology for when I spoke to the article for the backhoe last week. I kind of indicated that I accused him that if the word replacement was not in the article, that within a year or two, he is going to come and ask for a backhoe for the transfer station, and by that, increasing the fleet. I probably could have said it a little bit more kindly, and maybe use the word, gives him the opportunity to come back in a year or two. So, that being said, That's probably why I got my road sanded, so I could make it tonight. You had a vision. No, so I do mean that sincerely.
Thank you, Frank.
I can always be corrected if I'm wrong, and I'll try to correct myself if I'm wrong. The second thing may not be received too well by the board, but that's not necessarily my intention. There was last week's public comment. There was someone that spoke, and that person, I have to qualify this. I looked at the YouTube many, many times. I got sick of looking at it because I couldn't keep up with writing down, completely, so I think I'm pretty accurate. But in any respect, that person commented in her public comment that to the point of civility and respect. Person took copious notes. This I didn't quite get. It said some of the things, I think it was, and some of the things that were said. One quote that person made was, "How foolish you look, how foolish you look," and that was me in respect of having a public hearing sometime after a contract was signed, and I'll stand by that. I could have used a lot worse words, and you probably would have kicked me out, and you still may. But the person also said that was a stupid decision. That person also said what you did, and I was kind of taking upon my, throwing that back on myself when the person was speaking. But the second thing that person said, you did this to the town, what you did to the town was stupid and irresponsible. Okay, those two comments were made. And I went through every part of the meeting that I was speaking to. That's when I caught what I said about the background. And I never said that. I never used the word stupid. That would not be, I'm pretty confident that would not be in my vocabulary as I'm standing at this microphone. I might say foolish, I might use some other word, but even in my private life, it's not necessarily in my vocabulary. You'll have to take me at my word for that. So I just want to make you aware of that. When things are said as an indication of other people saying them, that just did not happen. Look at the YouTube, all right, and make your own decision. Stupid was not. In fact, the whole thing, either one of those, was not said in any fashion by anyone that was speaking in regards to the contract or the budget. So there it is, and that's all I've got. Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. Anyone else for public comment tonight? Correspondence? Other business? I know we had a non-public at the end for a personnel issue. Anybody else have anything? Department heads, anything?
One quick. I'm Mike Sullivan, Library Director, and just a reminder, the library is going to hold we hold our community coffee. In February, we traditionally present town officials to talk about the budget and the warrant. This year, we're also including school officials. We heard that last year that we hadn't included them. I've gotten responses from a couple of you, but for those that may be wavering, please, if you can make it. It's a chance for some people who don't get out as much to see, and it's really designed largely for our elderly population, and it gives them a chance they don't necessarily get. So appreciate seeing.
Could you repeat the date though for everyone?
First Thursday in February, which I believe is the 5th. On the calendar, yeah.
First Thursday?
Yeah, first
would be
Thursday
February
at
1st.
February 1st, okay, yep, that's right. Yeah, February 1st at 9:30 in the morning. Plus there'll be coffee and goodies, so, we'll feed you well.
9:30. Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All set.
Took me a minute, Mike, but I like your tie.
No.
Took me a minute to get it.
How many of us remember what that is?
What is it?
What is, I can't see it.
It's a library sign-up
It's a
card.
library
Oh.
card.
It's a book sign-up.
Stamp in the back?
Oh, yeah, now I couldn't, sorry, I couldn't see it from there.
You might not remember. I do.
I do.
I remember using that.
They're gone by the time you're.
Wow, thank you.
I remember using that.
He remembers using it, so you just insulted him.
But they only never use the library, so.
No. That's for sure. It was not a hangout. I'd rather go to the gym.
Move to go into non-public under A and C.
Second.
Yeah.
Be careful going home.
Yes, be very careful.
Hopefully the salt trucks have got it
Yeah,
now.
hopefully the salt shakers are out.
We're-
It's all truck, all of it.